Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, January 12th, 2016. I'm Dan Rubin, broadcasting live on tape here, Bucknuts Morning 5-ish from a very snowy Gem City, Dayton, Ohio. Pleased to be joined today by the inimitable Duane Long, from what I understand is a snowy capital city in Columbus. Duane, how are you this fine morning?
We're ready to have winter over with already. This is, we've just, nice snow piling up out there. Really ready for winter to be over.
No doubt. It's horrible. As I look out the window here, it's just because of stress. Not a lot of stress caused last night or today, this morning, except we're going to be hungover. For your Crimson Tide fans, Alabama beats Clemson last night in the national championship. This is not Tide Nuts or Tiger Nuts, but we will address, Duane, what were your thoughts on the game and kind of put a bow on the play on the field this season?
I thought it was a great game. It was what you want to see in a national championship game. The thing is, I look at the performance from Watson and say, you know, we're supposed to throw 4 touchdown passes and just have the performance of a lifetime. Your team scores more than 30 points and you lose a football game. The Clemson defense just let them down. I had questions about the Clemson defense all season, and last night they give a guy who had caught I think it was 1 touchdown his entire career, gave him 208 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. They just killed Clemson with the tight end. Clemson never adjusted. If I'm Dabo Swinney, I get me a new defensive coordinator. You can't adjust to that. You see they're using the guy. He hasn't all season, and now you're just going to let the guy run wild like that. 200 yards, a tight end that's caught 1 touchdown his entire career, I think is what they said. So yep. You go back and you look at that, and that was the key to the game. Henry had his moments. He was going to have his moments, but that wasn't the difference in the game, that they couldn't figure out a solution. They didn't even know where he was. The first touchdown pass that was that Johnson caught, he's running down the field with the ball, and they hadn't even found him yet. So it was just really bad scheming. They did not know where the guy was, and it killed them. Yeah, but overall, just a great game. Howard, that's his name. Okay,
O.J. Howard had that big catch down the sideline at the end to finish it. What jumped out to me, and I've said all along, and I still believe this, when you head into the season now, until this changes, and I'll go with it, but it's Saban or Meyer. It's a Saban-Meyer world, or last year it was a Meyer-Saban world. Heading into next season, I'll take Ohio State and Alabama, and you can have the field, and I'll take that in perpetuity until things change. But what jumped out to me was Deshaun Watson was a guy that Ohio State kind of waited for during the recruiting process and wanted him bad enough, and it proves that was a good reason. He was worth the wait. I'm not sure I've ever seen a quarterback play that well against Alabama, just across the board. I know Cardale had a great game against them, but Cardale had a little bit more help. I was just very impressed with Watson, and going to be very interested to see when he comes back next year, as he'll be a junior, what his pro prospects are, because I do think we're trending away from the mobile quarterback. And even though he can throw it, he does make a lot of plays with his legs, so that should be one to watch. Speaking of quarterbacks, there's been a crystal ball sensation over the last few days. It feels like several years to get here, but guys like Steve Wiltfong and Bill Kurelic have flipped their crystal ball for Dwayne Haskins, the quarterback out of the Bullis School in Potomac, Maryland, who's verbally committed to Maryland. There's now a very strong belief among our cognoscenti that he's going to commit to Ohio State instead, his original dream school. What are your thoughts on the process at this point, and maybe Haskins as a player, and what it would mean to the class if they could pick him up?
I think he's huge, Dan. I loved this guy when I saw him coming off his junior film, and everything looked like he was going to be a Buckeye, and I don't know what happened there. seemed like we got in a hurry and he wasn't in a hurry. I don't know exactly what disconnect happened there. I was so disappointed when it looked like we were not going to get him. And, then he verbals to Maryland, and I'm, home state school. I think there's no way that this can come back together. I will go this far. I've taken the time to look back on past recruiting classes just to make sure in my comment here. I would say that Dwayne Haskins is the best pure passing quarterback that we've had at Ohio State. If he does verbal, and everyone thinks he's going to be a Buckeye now, I would say he's the best since Justin Zwick. Just standing back in the pocket and throwing the football. Outstanding. I mean, you look at the just perfect motion. He's got arm strength. He's got touch. He's got the whole package. And I'll tell Bucknut fans this: go to his profile now. They have a senior film up. I don't think it was up there just a few days ago. I don't remember seeing it. They show him running the ball. He can run the zone read. There's no question he's got athleticism. He's just a passer. He's a quarterback first. He runs when he needs to. He's very effective at it, and he's actually runs the zone read on several of these plays you see him running the ball on. He's a big guy, runs extremely well. So I'm so excited about the possibilities of Haskins coming here. I can't wait. I think he makes the class. I think he finishes it off. Could not be happier to get a verbal out of Dwayne Haskins. And I tell you this, I thought Burrow was a quarterback of the future. I think that's now challenged. He's ahead of the curve. He's going to have some time in the system, but he doesn't have the tools. He's got good tools, better tools than anyone thinks he has. Joe Burrow's a good quarterback. It would be good quarterback at Ohio State, but I think Haskins is that much better. Couldn't be more excited about getting this guy in the fold.
No question. Once he commits or does his dance there, the discussion of Haskins versus Burrow will be prevalent. I think even made even more prevalent because Haskins has been public about wanting to play early. Obviously, that's not going to happen here with JT, but the competition must be something he's not afraid of. I've said this many times. I'm married to go from Potomac, Maryland. My sons attend basketball camp at the Bullis School every summer and have for years. I had a chance to talk to Dwayne this summer at the Clayboy stand. Anyone from Montgomery County, Maryland will know what that means. When he was a counselor at the football camp next door. The first thing that jumped out to me, and I've said this before, is he's tall. He is, I don't know if he's 6'3", but he's definitely he's 6'2", at least. And just a very engaging guy. I was very impressed when I talked to him. Smooth, has kind of that quarterback confidence, an aura about him. So this is looking really, really good. It does hurt the Maryland class tremendously. With Haskins is awesome, and it should be, it definitely will make the class look a little different. I don't care what anyone tells me. When you put a star quarterback in the class that's ranked like that, and Steve Wilfong thinks he's the best quarterback in the class, it changes your whole outlook. Speaking of a whole changed outlook, trying to segue this here from the Army All-American Bowl, I was never one down for most of the time that thought Donnie Corley would be a Buckeye. Then in the last week, I was kind of turned, and then by the time he announced, I was. What's your thoughts on missing out on Corley? Maybe what that means for the class now in terms of wide receivers.
Well, I've got mixed feelings on it. I looked at last week. We were arguing on the board about Corey Smith possibly coming back, and I said I think it's just way overrated. The guy's caught 25 passes in his entire career here. I think he's been a problem as far as, discipline is concerned. I thought it best that we move on with the younger guys. I have to rethink that now. When I started to put together the depth chart for next year without Corey Smith, we've got one guy who has caught one ball in a college football game, and that was 2 years ago, coming back at split end. That's what we have when you look at the returning guys. Gibson has never touched the ball. Stump's never touched the ball. And we've got Noah Brown, who hasn't touched the ball in 2 years, and we've got Torrance Gibson. That's it.
KJ Hill.
We've got. Well, I liked him. Campbell's the other kid I mentioned. I've got Hill now. I was recently watching film of him. I don't think he's a split end kind. I don't think he fits in well there. Maybe they're going to try to play him there, but it's still a bunch of guys who have never caught footballs. You look at it, and Brown and Campbell are the only ones who have played in a college game. It's just so inexperienced out there. Do we need more guys? It would be nice. One of the ways to offset lack of experience is just throw a lot of bodies at it and see who sticks. So it would have been nice to add Corley, but I think we got some young talent here. I'm not as worried. I think he would have been a +1 to, another guy to throw in there and see if he can be the guy out there. I'm just not that worried about numbers, though, and I'm not that worried about talent. Experience is the thing that's hurting out there. It might be better to use that scholarship to bring Corey Smith back now that I put some thought to it. When I actually put that down on paper and looked at it and saw just how little that there was coming back experience-wise, I got a lot more interested in Corey Smith at that point. So maybe bringing him back would be a better use of that scholarship than adding another body. I think we got some nice athletes out there. They just don't have experience. Put a guy out there that Barrett can work with until those guys get a little bit more experience. That might be a better use of that scholarship.
I don't know this to be a fact, but I get the sense that the staff is putting their chips in the JT Barrett, putting all their chips on Barrett here and figuring that between now and kickoff, the off season and the training and him basically being the coach for workouts, that he'll be able to develop some continuity with some receivers, a little bit of chemistry. I definitely am concerned about the lack of experience at receiver. They do probably bring back the most experienced quarterback you can possibly bring back, so that may offset it. We shall see. Speaking of guys to fill those last spots, if you had to pick 3 recruits that are out there they're in the mix with that would finish the class off perfectly, let's assume they get Haskins. So it's 3 on top of that. Who would you pick?
I want Jordan Fuller. Jordan Fuller is just one of those athletes you can plug in at so many different positions. He just dazzles me, whether he's got the ball in his hands or not. I put him on offense. It seems like we're recruiting him to be a safety. Considering the need which just exploded with the announcement of who was going to the pros, it makes more sense to play him there. But just with the ball in his hands, he's just dynamite. I mean, I'd love to have him part of this class. I have a good feeling that he's going to be part of the class. Another guy I had not looked at. The pronunciation. I don't know. Is it Karamo?
Karamo Diabate. I know with that.
Diabate. I looked at his film. I hadn't looked at this guy at all. He committed rather early to Penn State. I look at him and see the same guy as Antoine Jackson, except he may be a little bit bigger. He looks like he's got a little better frame on him. Very impressive. Plays mostly end, so we see a good athlete. Slide him down to tackle, and he doesn't look like what really surprised me. He looks like a guy who's just not interested in getting away from home. He's not interested in the recruiting process. They're talking about Temple being a player here because it's so close to home. He's not getting too far away from home. I think we got a real good shot at getting him into the class. He would be absolutely huge. And because of the need, you have to go with Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin is one of the better defensive backs in a class that I'm not overly impressed with, especially at safety. And if we can get him in, there's reports that he might be visiting, trying to get him into this class. Adding another safety would be crucial. I really think that it's huge just to get some bodies over there, get some guys we can actually see. We need bodies. You got to start there. And we just don't have guys that are going to slide into the safety spot real easily. And we lost both our starting guys. Eric Smith's obviously going to man one spot. Who's going to be at the other? Hooker may be a linebacker by the time we get into spring camp. So getting in some safeties in here would be nice. I also like Malik, is it Harrison, the Walnut Ridge athlete? I love what I see of him. Pardon me?
Ben Victor, the receiver out of Florida. He's been a heavy name.
Well, I agree. I like Victor, but it goes back to the same thing with Corley. Do we need another young wide receiver that badly when we've got some real nice athletes there? It looks like experience is all that we need with those guys. I would actually Harrison, if we get Victor, obviously you take he's a automatic take. I'm just not confident that we're going to get him. Now we're talking West Virginia. What's going on with that? I mean,
it's a red flag.
You don't lose. It is. You start wondering about academics at that point. Anytime a player has Ohio State, could go to Florida, Alabama, USC has offered. He could go to Miami and Notre Dame, but he's going to go to West Virginia. I just don't get that. It doesn't make sense to me. And whenever, especially late in the process, when West Virginia pops into the picture, I start wondering, can we even get this guy in? So I'm just not confident about Victor. We'll see. You know, he's one of those athletes, as I said, that you don't say no to, but is it even an option at this point? We need to see. But I just like the versatility of Harrison. He's dynamite on the football field. I suggest fans take time to watch him play. I think he may be too big to play receiver by the time he hits the weight room, gets on the field, but he might be a dynamite H-back. I love him on defense. I think he could be a great linebacker. I think he's going to outgrow safety. So I throw him out there, and I know he's real high on the Buckeyes. But Fuller and Diamante, those guys right there, those two have to come in. If we can get them, we have to take them. And if Victor is a guy we can get into Ohio State and he wants to come, we got to take him. But my Harrison would be my one guy that I would have in reserve in case that is not true, that the Victor cannot get in. If that's true, that we can't get him in. He would be my fallback player. Getting unique athletes, guys that you can plug into several different positions and they're going to thrive, that can be huge. Because I think 85 scholarships, I'll always say that that's not enough. If you can get guys that you can say, okay, we're pretty set right here, but we need to move you over here, and get a guy who's just as good as anybody else you can find, that's huge. Having versatile guys. It's very important.
There you have it. More questions than answers. It's early in the off season. That's what we're here for. Keep it locked to Bucknuts. I'm not saying Dwayne Haskins is going to commit today, but I would keep it locked because you just never know. Have a great day, Bucknutters. Stay warm.